Yeah, good day, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this episode of the podcast. And today is a special one. I'm going to be distilling some of the things I got, the gems I picked from the podcast of Lex Friedman with the team from Neuralink. Let me make it that. It's actually the 430 something episode of Lex Friedman podcast, which is 8 hour long. Wow, it's a hell of a tax. But there's a lot of knowledge that have been distilled in it. Now, they are trying to talk about the future of humanity. Actually, like they talk about a lot in it, but here I'll be telling you how does it relate to neuroscience and psychiatry in general, because this Neuralink of a thing is kind of like trying to solve the neuropathology from beginning. Then next it will break the boundary of pathology to focus on things which are normal and trying to make people superhuman. And the conversation featured Elon Musk, DJ CEO, who is the co-founder of Neuralink, Martin Dougal, Blaze R, and Nolan Alba, who is the first person to have the Neuralink chip. Now, let's start from the conversation with Elon Musk. Now, at first, Elon Musk talked about the Neuralink software implanted in the human brain. And where he focused on and where the most of the discussion focused on is telepathy, like the problems which, like digital telepathy, problems which affect the brain, like ability of a person to use his brain to maybe, talk, move some part of his body, like using your mind to control things, specifically technology stuff. It's more of like, when you look at it, it's more of like a spiritual thing, but this is not spiritual. This tech. And now this is a big break in neuroscience, because if you look at neuroscience is basically looking at the pathology of the brain, which relates to the speech. The brain controls all the stuff, the speech, the movement, the sight, the hearing, all this kind of thing. And when we talk about psychiatry itself is just a department which focuses on trying to do a thing called bioengineering. It's all about the mind, trying to bioengineer the mind. If you like the behavioral therapy itself, if you look at conditions under psychiatry like depression and schizophrenia, anxiety, all those things are things which psychiatrists focused on. There's a common ground to all these things. Since it's related to the brain, they realize that all these things happens, like the problems are, when you look deep down, is mostly rooted in the electrical activities which is happening in the brain. And this is what the drugs of psychiatry used to do, the so-called bioengineering stuff of a thing. And if you look at a disease like Parkinson's disease, is all about the electrical activities. There imbalance in it. And same thing to that, a neurologist will keep on giving you drugs, chemicals which will control which will bring some sort of balance to that stuff. And now Elon Musk, or let me say the team in Neuralink, did a very great work by trying to, optimize this and do it in the best way. You just think of a way whereby you have a chip in your brain which can be able to maintain the resting membrane potential, be able to fire at the right time, be able to sense that you are depressed and be able to control the balance of the electrical activities in the brain. So this is what these guys are doing. Now, let's basically talk about some of the achievements. And the first human who got the implants, who is Nolan. Now, this guy has ALS, that disease which is not common in Africa, but out there we have it, which literally somebody is completely paralyzed. They don't have the ability to use their body. So it's depressing itself completely. He has been having this disease for years. He got this chip implanted into his brain, and when he got it, he was able to do things which he loved, like playing games on the computer by using his mind to control the cursor, using his mind to choose what he wants, like click on the icon, click on music, click on everything he wants. So this is the leap which they have reached now, we are not looking at this. I mean, we are looking at the future, because the world is moving rapidly, and growth is not in isolation. If you go back in time, you'd see you see things like Facebook was growing at the same time, or at the same rate which the industries are trying to discover smartphones, and they almost came out to market at the same time. So same thing. Now, if you look at the field of all this scientific field, you see so many breakthrough happenings. Like let's talk about robot industries, which even Elon Musk have his own robot industries. Look at the Optimus, the great place which they have achieved there, being able to do some human tasks. At the early stage, even if somebody have those disease which he cannot walk, he can have those things put into him. But now we are talking about an implanted device which is helping somebody to just, you just think, and all of a sudden you solve your demands, and your neurologic damage, it will seem as if you are not even damaged. Okay, now then the thing which Elon Musk also talked about basically blind people, like being able to, like, they are looking forward to trying to help them see, because all these things, all the matter of seeing, and being able to interpret the image using the cortex of the brain and all those kind of things, and being able to move the eyeball, all these things are being at the basic aspect of it is being controlled by the neurons and all those kind of things. Having this basic knowledge is what is giving us the edge, or let me say, what is giving Neuralink the edge to be able to think that yes, we can be able to reach this feat. But we have to go back in history to look at how things really started, because Elon Musk on Neuralink are not the first to really start this thing. The co-founder himself, DGCO, has been in the field of neuroscience for a while now, even though he studied electrical engineering, but his research was on neural dust, and he was just trying to see, okay, how can he, optimize the neurons? How can he change things in the neurophysiological aspect of humans? Now, if you look at the field of brain-computer interface, it dates back to the days of Hans Berger, who is a psychiatrist. In 1920, he found the EEG machine, electroencephalogram, which kind of read the electrical activities happening in the brain. This is one of the investigations which has been used for people who have some of these brain-related problem. If they have things like seizures, they try to check the electrical activities in the brain, and they try to optimize one or two things. And going down the line, 1940, microelectrode was tried in the brain and it failed. But 1980 was the breakthrough where motor tunica was kind of discovered, and that thing is just like is a part of the neurons which helps somebody know the vector space of the neuron, the direction of firing of the neuron. They could be able to like pinpoint, okay, this is how we put the electrode, this is how when we put the fiber in the brain, this is how we have to position it. This is a great leap. And talking about invasive and non-invasive tools, non-invasive tools have been used, they have been optimized up and down. The CT, the MRI, you are basically using the MRI to see the functional move of the brain continuously. Now we are moving into the invasive aspect. So the invasive aspect is the future. So now that we've kind of distilled into the future of this, you can see the future of this have been intertwined with the pathological, or let me say the medical aspect of psychiatry. Hans Berger came in, neuroscience, and these guys that I can't recall their name, but they discovered this resting membrane potential of a thing and the action potential, who were given Nobel Prize. This is a neurophysiology stuff, and this also helps in helping the team in Neuralink, believe that this thing can be a success. Like, let's just go all in, let's put all our eggs in the basket and this thing will be successful. So it's not something that is just started. Most people don't have much knowledge about this stuff. They will think it's just something new. The collective knowledge of the world, or let me say the collective knowledge of societies is improving time after the other. It's improving every time. So the level which we are in our knowledge about some of this stuff now has increased, but all this depend in your location. In our place in Nigeria, even the doctors might not even think that all these things can be possible. But as you look in the bigger picture in the world, the collective knowledge of the world has improved, has increased, and the team in Neuralink are proving this. Okay, looking at the future, I said, how does it affect psychiatry? Let me start with psychiatry. Most of the conditions which they deal with is schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is kind of like a condition which is misbalance in electrical signals in the brain. That's the basic aspect of it. I'm not going into the pathophysiology and all those kind of things. There's things like hallucination, delusion, and all those kind of things, and mood swings are also there. So just think about this. You have a new chip which can be able to maintain the balance of these neurons. This is a breakthrough, and this is what we are looking forward to. And it will be a better solution than you having a patient who is repeatedly going to look for a psychiatrist who had to be updating himself daily for the best possible drug to give, and with the side effects of the drug, to still be optimizing the patient again and again and again. So, let's look at the neuroscience aspect. For the neuroscience aspect, some of the neuropathology like Parkinson's disease, just think a patient have a chip in his brain that can maintain the balance of, basically dopamine is the problem here. Human people will be living a fairly normal life. Is kind of like the breakthrough that we had in relation to these cardiac devices. Somebody don't have to be going repeatedly to a cardiologist to be maintaining all these things. So you have this stuff put in them which can control this, which can sense everything happening even when they are doing exercise. This is a very great height that we have, or let me say the world have really achieved collectively, because actually you won't sit down and be crediting Neuralink for this alone, because they said history, the book of history normally writes a single name, but there's a lot of people who come together to create the history, but the book is limited, so it cannot contain a lot of name. So one person name will be there, but everybody that plays a role matters. Now, still going into the greatness which these guys also do. If you look at the biophysics that is occurring in this stuff, it's kind of a heck of a work, where they are saying the biggest part of this tool is the battery, which is a lithium battery, and the other aspect of the tool is more of very, very, tiny. The fiber is just 2 microns, and there's a lot of electrodes which is attached to this 2 micron of a fiber. Just imagine how great it is. It has an external device which record everything, and also it's rechargeable. So you can see the level of engineering which is being put into this stuff of a thing. And you talk about the upgrades of this Neuralink chip. Elon Musk has been the technology messiah, being the first person to be able to make a car that can receive updates online. This is revolutionary. Same thing, they try to apply this into Neuralink stuff, whereby they will be able to bring in updates, kind of we are looking in the future, whereby normal human being will get the chip inserted into him, and after he's been inserted, they could just be able to let's say for example you bought the chip, it can only be able to make you to do some super speech. You can talk, because this is something which Elon Musk talked very well about. Growth is all about how much input you can be able to make and how much output you can make. If you can read 10 books in a day, and be able to distill ideas from those 10 books, you are already a superhuman. You are already above the curve. So let's say you have a Neuralink chip in your brain that can be able to like do only 2 books or 3 books a day. And now an upgrade has happened and it is sent to your brain and you are able to download it. This is a revelation. You can be able to like, let's say do 7 books or so in a day. Input and output is increasing. So this is what we are looking forward into, and Neuralink is already doing the great thing. The team of engineers, I'm so much jealous about these guys. I feel like I just wanted to see myself in this team, because these are the team who are pushing the boundary of our thinking and the boundaries of human mind. If you still go back, the matter of the mind itself, still there are some gray areas, like since we don't really understand fully how does the mind work. So those gray areas is, we just know that the firing of the signal will make all these things happen. So the malfunctioning of this device, these are some gray areas that I've been thinking about. Okay, now what if it malfunctions and it's kind of like start triggering the your normal brain neurons to be thinking in the wrong way and to make wrong ideas and make wrong decisions. It's something to still look forward, but the company is still coming up in great things. They have achieved a very great leap in their stuff, being able to like help somebody to be able to like somebody who has a neuropathology to be able to kind of control himself by using his thoughts, able to do basic things using his thoughts. I feel like this is a great achievement, not just to the Neuralink team, but to the psychiatry world and also to the neuroscience world, because as we all know, neuroscience and psychiatry, they are all going in the same direction, and a greatness which comes into the neuroscience field is just a matter of time before it will start chipping into the field of psychiatry, because so many things have been achieved, so many things have been done in those fields, and I'm just talking about the Neuralink aspect. So at this moment I feel like there's a lot of things in this 8-hour long talk, but these are just the little I can just go through for you. I suggest you hear the long form content and pick more from it. Even if you listen to it in 1.5x, it's okay for you to listen to it, because there's a lot that you will pick out of it. And I suggest you stay curious and open your mind. There's a lot of possibilities and positivities out there. We are the futures, as our lecturer used to say. We are the futures. We are the future. So, and thank you very much for listening to this episode of the System Podcast. I'd like you to like, subscribe, and share to everyone. Thank you.